Hello, my good people. My name is Kevin Powers. Welcome to North America. I'm so glad you've joined us. Here at North America, we're debunking orthodoxies and various forms of fuckery that come out of the media and politics and that have sort of injected themselves into the consciousness of the status quo. And one of those things that happened recently was an article by a guy named Johnathan Franzen. I don't really know him, but it's made a little bit of a buzz, I've noticed. And I read it right when it came out, and it just irked me immediately. This guy, I guess he's a writer, I guess he's a novelist or something. I have not read his stuff, but he sort of wrote in the New Yorker, essentially saying that, the time of optimism is over, and, to be pessimistic about our chances dealing with climate change is somehow the mature and insightful attitude and stance to take in the world. His arguments are just, they sound fancy, but they're just shallow, and they're kind of full of this thing that scares me a bit, is this sort of arrogant, self-assured hipster, I'm the mature one in the room that can see the world for what it is, and let me show you the power of my intellect by showing you my cynicism. And it just and he fails on the realm of the sort of the intellect in deep and profound ways, which I would like to sort of take a shot across my bow towards this Johnathan Franzen. One of the things that he fails to do intellectually is to actually introduce any contrary arguments to his belief. He sort of says, we haven't done anything in the last 30 years about this issue, so what makes you think we're going to change now? Okay, I'd like to pause there, Jonathan, and answer that question. You asked it rhetorically as if there was no answer, and it was obvious that the 30 years have gone by so that there's no chance of human nature, you mentioned, changing at this late date. Well, there's all sorts of reasons that things could change quickly and change now. Why don't I delineate for you, like, for instance, the technology that's coming online in the renewable sector, wind, solar, et cetera, has dropped in price dramatically. It's outperforming carbon now. So the market solutions themselves, which I don't have a whole lot of faith in, but they are a reason that things might change, just because the technology has caught up with the moment in a way that, let's say, in the 80s didn't exist. Also, this idea, all sorts of things in historical, if you look at historical changes, they happen quickly and they happen surprisingly. We could look at the suffragette movement, the end of the Vietnam War, apartheid. These things happen quickly. Once the momentum sort of rises to a certain place and the threshold is breached, things happen quite quickly indeed. So there's historical precedent for the kinds of changes that you deem somehow immature and soft. Another reason that things might happen quite quickly is that the world's getting worse. We're seeing these hurricanes and typhoons and floods and fires, and people are getting scared. It's rising in the polls at incredible rates. This election coming up is going to be by far the most talked about issue. Maybe it'll be on par with the other big issues, at least, in a way that it never has been before. So, that changes things. Oh, and there are political leaders who are talking about a Green New Deal. And this is the other part of your article that pisses me off. You frame it as if, the American people, I have the quote over here, but the American people already hate politics and they hate taxes. So what makes you think they're going to get on board with this Green New Deal thing? That is exactly the wrong framing for this, and it is borrowing framing from the right wing, from the Republican Party that wants to poo-poo the political attempts to save the planet. Do note, Jonathan, that in the sort of front matter of the Green New Deal. They talk about equity. They talk about unrigging the system and taking money back from the billionaires, taking money back from the speculation currencies, the speculation on currencies in Wall Street to the tune of trillions of dollars, closing down tax loopholes in the Cayman Islands, etc. There are trillions of dollars in this extremely rigged economy that we can corral that money back into the public and invest in this world. So it's not going to be a sacrifice for the middle class. In fact, it's going to be a boon for the middle class. It's going to be union jobs. It's going to be good transportation, good health care, good free education. And so you're acting as if it's this horrible belt tightening exercise that's going to happen for the average American in order to accept the reality of climate change. Where in fact, on the shelf, policy is already contrary to that. It would not be a sacrifice, but rather a boon to a people who have already sacrificed a great deal to the sort of economy that you seem to be supporting in your pessimism. You use the word draconian as if the things that we're going to have to come out of policy in Washington or Ottawa or London were going to be draconian, where in fact the draconian stuff has already happened. We're living in a draconian time where you take away healthcare, you take away regulation that are giving us clean air and clean water and good food, and giving that money to the billionaire class. So congratulations, Johnathan. And again, that sort of dangerous game that you're playing with your self-assured hipsterism, you're creating this meme that is designed for the liberal class to give up. Your ancestors will be mighty pissed, my friend, at this shallow and sort of like really reprehensible stance that you've taken. And the little dance that you're doing with your ego, making yourself feel special, is it's pretty ugly, man. It's pretty ugly. And we can't stand for it here in North of America. We're going to fight. We're going to make a lot of noise about the reasons for optimisms, the specifics historically, technically, socially that are ready to be deployed in saving ourselves. And that's where we stand up here in North America. So glad that you've joined us. Please keep watching and check out northofamerica.net. You will see all sorts of articles that I'm writing and people that I'm talking to, because life is too short and too sweet and too beautiful to give up now. northofamerica.net. So thanks for being here.